Hello and welcome to Kel Knits. My name is Kelly and I am an Australian knitter living in Sydney, Australia. This is my podcast where I chat about what I've recently knit, what I'm currently knitting, what I'd like to knit, all the other knitty things. I would like to begin by acknowledging the Camaragal people who are the traditional owners of the land where I am today and pay my respects to their elders, both past, present, future and emerging. And if you would like to know more about the Camaragal people or the importance of an acknowledgement to country, I will put some information down below in the show notes for you. So welcome everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are. I have a couple of finished objects for you today and a new cast on. I've been trying to film this podcast all week, but I've had just a bad cold and have sounded really awful. I sound a little bit more normal today, but not quite 100%, but I'm getting there. And I start a new job on Monday, so I thought if I don't get this filmed now, it may never happen. So let's kick on and get onto it. My first finished object is what I'm wearing, which is the Lone Skein Shawl by Locatelli, and I knit this for the Hohe Shortfall Cal, I think it's called. She runs that. I think she runs a knit along every year with her pattern, so this is for team shawls, obviously. And I also finished it in time to enter it into the Across the Pond Shawl Cal, which is run by Fernanda from Little Monkeys and Me, and Ruth from Ruth Loves to Knit. And I might just, both Fernanda and Ruth have excellent podcasts, which I will put below if you're interested in checking them out. But I just wanted to give an extra shout out to Ruth because she mentioned me in her last podcast, and because I love her so much, felt like a celebrity talking about me. And I know a lot of people came over here from her channel just recently, so welcome to you. And if you haven't checked out her channel before, please do, because it's just like, she feels like you are just having a cup of tea with a friend in their craft room and chatting about knitting. So it's a really, really great podcast, which I thoroughly enjoy. Also, the last video I did was all about one skein shawls, why I love them, what ones I want to knit, why you should knit them all like me. And if you haven't seen it and you like knitting shawls, then I'd recommend it. But I just wanted to say that I made a Ravelry bundle with all of the patterns that I had found. And of course, since that video came out, I have found even more patterns. And I've had lots of people recommend great one skein shawl patterns to me. So I will put that Ravelry bundle link below as well. So even if you checked it out a couple of weeks ago, check it out again, because it's grown like we need any more ideas of what to knit. We'll never get through them all, but it's still wonderful to look through all the ideas anyway. So yeah, check that out. Anyway, but this one, the Lone Skein Shawl by Locatelli. I knit this in Fine Fish yarns in the colorway Bacau, in their sock yarn, and I knit a little bit like I cook, in that I don't always read everything before I start. And one thing I didn't check was when it called for one skein of fingering. Of course, all fingering yarns, 4-play yarns, are not created equal necessarily. And did I actually have enough yardage for the pattern? Turns out no, I didn't. And I had to finish it only a row or two early. But when I bound off, no word of a lie, I had less than 2 inches of the yarn left. Like, it was the most intense game of yarn chicken I've ever played in my life. But I won, just. So it would be slightly longer if I had had all of the yarn, but it's not that much of a difference. And obviously there's an option to put, not obviously, but there is an option to put tassels on here too, and I have no yarn left to be able to do that. But this is the shawl, and I think the colorways may be a little bit busy for this, so the patterning doesn't necessarily show up too well, but still it looks interesting and nice. And there's some short row shaping in here as well to create the shape. It was a really mindless, quite straightforward knit, lots of garter, which personally it's not for everyone, I know, but I don't mind a bit of relaxing garter stitch when I don't want to pay attention on anything. So I'm not sure that I would knit the pattern again. I don't love it so much that I want it in all the different colors, but I'm glad I did this one and I really like it. And yeah, I mean, it sits okay. It sits, yeah, I think I would have liked slightly more length, but no, it's okay. So that's the Lone Skein Shawl by Locatelli. My next finished object I don't have with me today, and that's because it's already been gifted. And that is the baby cardigan, baby vertebrae, sorry, by Kelly Van, I've forgotten the name. I will make sure I write the designer's name below as well. And I finished it. It looks adorable. And last week my daughter and I got over to Melbourne to go and visit my brother. For anyone who's watched my channel before, you will know that I've just moved back from overseas, from Germany, which means that during the 3.5 years that we'd been away, and you may have noticed there was a pandemic, it made travel very hard during that time, and my brother went and had 2 kids, which it still seems a bit crazy to me, whilst we were gone, and I hadn't been able to meet them yet, but finally we did, and it was wonderful. And their new little baby, who's only about 8 weeks old, I had made him the Willem's summer overalls, which fit and looked adorable. And I made the baby vertebrae as well, and it also fit and looked super adorable. And whilst the overalls kind of fit him now, the cardigan will definitely fit for a bit longer, which is really good. So he'll get a fair bit of wear out of that one, which is great because that's the really super practical part of the outfit. And I could definitely see myself knitting more of these, the baby vertebrae patterns, if I have other babies in the future to knit for, which I'm sure I will, because it's a really great pattern. It's really practical. You can do it in, the pattern's written so that you could do it in different yarn weights as well. And because I like to make life more difficult for myself, I knit it in fingering. But next time maybe I will do it in a DK 8-ply or something, maybe even a worsted, so that it goes even quicker. But it's a really cute pattern. I knit that in Filcolana Anina, which I raved about before because I adore that yarn. It's just so soft and squishy and perfect for baby knits. Yeah, highly recommended. That was the colorway Oatmeal. Okay, on that trip I wanted to have something small. I was traveling with my daughter, so I didn't want to carry too much, and we were just doing cabin luggage as well. We were only away for 2 nights, so I wanted to take some knitting, of course, but I wanted something small and light and pretty mindless. And the lovely Leanne from the Knitty Stew gifted me a pattern, so thank you, Leanne, you are so generous and amazing. And what it is was the Sophie Scarf by Petite Knit, and this is my very long Sophie Scarf. Let me see, hang on a minute. Ta-da! Okay, this is the Sophie Scarf by Petite Knit, and for the life of me I can't remember what is the yarn I used. I'm terrible podcaster. Sandnes Garn, I think, something. I will write it below because I will have that information written somewhere. And there you can do a smaller size or a bigger size. I knit the bigger size, and because it was a travel knit, mine is way longer than it is meant to be, but I just kind of kept knitting in the middle part, and it just got longer and longer, and I really wasn't paying too much attention until I think it was on the flight home when I finally thought I should probably start decreasing this, hey. But it means that it kind of wraps around twice and, sits quite nicely. I haven't fully figured out, I haven't worn it yet. I only finished it a week ago, and I was sick all last week, so I haven't been out that much anyway. I think it looks all right with black. I think, it really does. I think you see some photos where people have a really nice crisp white button-up shirt or a linen shirt or something, and I think it looks really nice with that, and this color would work with that too. So yeah, if you're looking for a really very basic, mindless, on the go, easy to follow knit, I can definitely recommend this. I would like to, as I was knitting it, I was thinking of a particular friend of mine who I could just, with the smaller size that just comes around once and ties, a little kerchief thing, I just kept seeing her in my head. So I think I will need to knit one for her. Her birthday is coming up the day before Christmas. So yeah, so I will probably knit another one because it will be super quick. And I used about, I had 1.5 skeins of yarn, and that was another reason why I kept knitting, because in my head I thought, oh, I'll just finish the yarn, but it actually would have, I didn't, because it would have been like way too long then. So I think probably I used up just 1 skein of yarn, so I still have half a skein of this one left. So, but that's my, what are we up to? 1, 2, 3, my 3rd finished object, and I still have 1 more to go, which is my Musselburgh hat. I started knitting this on the flight home from Germany to Australia, and it was, oh my gosh, another perfect airplane knit. Once I'd done most of the increases before we left, so that on the plane I just knit round and round and round and round and round, and it was so mindless and relaxing and really, really good. And I probably got maybe 1/3 of the way through this on the flight. Did some more when I got home, and then ran out of yarn. Had to wait for another ball to arrive to finish it. It finally arrived, and so I have finished it. If you don't know the Musselburgh hat, where have you been? It is such a popular pattern, but it is a big tube. And this is why I can see myself knitting more of these hats, because I just think this is perfect for on-the-go knitting. And then you fold it inside, and you could make it as a slouchy hat. This is easier to do in theory. There we go, we're getting there. Fold it inside and have like a nice, like a kind of more longer, slouchier hat there. But I like to fold up the brim and put it on. It doesn't go so well with a ponytail, I guess. Now, it is, I don't know if you can see, it is definitely too big. I did do, so this is also a great pattern because you can do it at all weights of yarn. You kind of get started on it, and then you measure your gauge to work out, yeah, how many stitches you need to do the size that you wanted to do. I think I did size adult and medium. I did measure my gauge, but because I've been knitting on this on and off and on the go, maybe I haven't checked my gauge since I finished it. Maybe my gauge ended up being a little bit looser, or maybe I just should have knit the smaller size. I don't know, but I mean, this fits my husband who has a ginormous head, so I think it's not an adult medium size. It's definitely a large. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't like this color. I think this for me, my color. And even though it's too big, I'm not sure I care. I think I'm just going to keep it and wear it anyway, because it is like a warm, cozy hug around my head. This yarn, this is West Yorkshire Spinners Bo Peep Pure. And it is so gloriously soft and squishy and beautiful. And because you've just got these, it's so thick. This is an 8-ply DK yarn. It is so thick, and around the ears when you have it on, it is just wonderful. So we're in the spring here in Australia. The weather's been very average, but it's probably too warm for beautiful cozy warm hats like this. So it'll be a while before I get some use out of it, but I really, really love it. My Musselburgh, my very first Musselburgh. It won't be my last. Okay, those are all my finished objects. I got through them, and since my last podcast, I have a new cast on that I've been working on, which is the Aosta cardigan by the Knit Purl Girl, and I am nearly finished it. So let me try and, I'm just gonna put it on. Yeah. All right, there we go. I don't know, it goes with this. Who cares? I started this on a complete whim. I did a test knit for Sophie, the Knit Purl Girl, a few months ago, and as a thanks for doing the test knit. She gives you 3 free patterns from her collection, which is, I think, very fair and generous. And so I got a few patterns there, and this was one of the patterns I picked up. And I think that day I was feeling particularly cold. It was probably raining, and I was feeling cold, and I'm not sure if I mentioned here before about the fact that I really didn't pack enough warm weather clothes coming back home to Sydney for spring. And I just thought, oh, I just felt like a really warm, cozy cardigan. So I got this pattern, ordered the yarn, and yeah, was on the go. It is a bulky weight yarn. This is the Australian Wool Store, pure Australian wool, 14 ply. It feels really cozy. The yarn's lovely. And it's knitting up pretty quickly, but because it's a cardigan, obviously, and there's this patterning, there's a lot of it's all back and forth and a lot of purling. And I don't super love knitting with bulky yarn. I find it a bit, I don't know, a bit hard on my hands sometimes. It's not too bad, but it means that, you know, just doing this exclusively is not really my cup of tea. But you can see I've come along pretty well, and it's got these chunky arms. I think this stitch name, Andalusian stitch or something like that. And I think it creates this really it's very straightforward, easy to do, and a lovely texture. And all I have left now to do is one arm, but I've run out of yarn again. Seems to be a theme, doesn't it? Perhaps I should pay more attention to what's required before I cast on. I'm sure I did do that, but this has been an absolute, these yarn guzzler, these are 50-gram balls, and I just have felt like I'm just constantly weaving in ends and putting in a new ball of yarn with this, because I've gone through heaps of yarn. And I think in the end I've ordered maybe 2 or 3 extra balls just for safety. I think I probably actually am only 1 ball short, but I'm not going to risk it. So I've got that coming, and when that arrives it should knit up pretty quickly. And put in some buttons, a couple of big buttons, I think 4 big buttons here as well, and it looks quite nice. It's so bulky. This is the kind of knit that, like, if I saw this in the store, I wouldn't get it. I'm not really a huge fan of big bulky knits, the way they fit me, and as I said, I don't super love knitting on them. Very satisfying that they knit up quickly, but I don't usually gravitate towards them. But so I've probably, in saying that, then whilst I've been knitting this, I've been going back and forth between, oh, I love it, and oh, why did I do this? So time will tell once it's finished how much I wear it. But I think even if it's just a great at-home cardigan just to throw on, I think I will get a lot of wear out of it. But I actually think it's if you can stand up. Hang on, trying not to show you my belly. If you can see the length, it's a little bit cropped. It's not, you know, it's not super long. So I think actually it's going to look really nice over a black dress and things like that as well. So yeah, this is my Aosta cardigan by the Knit Pearl Girl. I don't really have any other whips. I've just recently finished doing a swatch, which is somewhere here, because I want to make the Kala Tea by Pip and Pin, and I've forgotten her name as well, Pip and Pin, but I will write it below. I will probably get that cast on in the next couple of days. And this is the Silky Yak Singles Petrol colorway by Valborg, and it's a 65% merino superwash, 15% yak, and 20% silk. I'll show you that label. And it looks, there's the label there. It just looks, really nice. And I've met gauge with the recommended needles, so I'm looking forward to getting that cast on. I have also done a little bit more on my Poet sweater by Sari Nordland. but not enough to bother showing you. So I'll show you that later. Next time I will have done more. Yeah, that's about all I've been working on. That's all the knitting. I mentioned before I start a new job on Monday, so it will be interesting to see how much that eats into my knitting time. I'm quite prepared that for the first couple of weeks at least, I may be quite overwhelmed and exhausted, so may not get very much done, and I'm trying to be kind to myself and say that's okay. There's also a reasonable chance that we'll finally have a place to live. I'm in an Airbnb still at the moment. Reasonable chance we'll finally have a place to live and move in this month. So it'll be October, will be me starting a new job, moving house. So it could be quite full on. That's one of the many reasons why I'm not doing the Stephen West's MCAL this month. I just thought there's no way. That's a whole lot of work, and much fun as it would be, and even though I've got huge FOMO watching everybody casting on, I just thought, Kelly, don't take that on. But otherwise, things are going really well, and my daughter's going back to school on Monday. She's been on school holidays, so we'll kind of be getting into things, and hopefully the next month or two we'll really find our feet in terms of getting into our normal routine, which we have not had at the moment since we've been back. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, that's all there is for me. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a absolutely wonderful day. I wish you lots of good knitting time and no drop stitches. If you enjoyed the video, of course, please like and subscribe if you want to see more. And I will see you next time. Okay, bye.